This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello, big one, welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend podcast. Yes, it's Champions Weekend. Doesn't feel like it. It feels a bag of shit with track changes. Yeah, we'll come on to that on Sunday, really, and give it a good going over. But anyway, we're here to do a job. We're here to give you winners, and joining me this evening to chew the fat and line your pockets with gold, like all season, it's John, Nick and Jack. Good evening, chaps.
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
Hello, everyone.
John's very enthusiastic, as you can tell. This is his favourite weekend of the year. As we come to the finale, really, of the flat season, there's only the sort of November handicap left. Silver Tankard, that's to come, though, chaps.
Excellent race.
Oh yeah, Breeders' Cup. Yeah, don't forget to tune in on the Breeders' Cup show, because that'll be a corker, because we love that shit at the Bar Stewards. Nick and Jack in particular love all that baloney. So
yeah, we hate it, don't we?
Yeah.
It's the last weekend of the year I'm semi-relevant, if I'm even somewhat relevant.
Just back silver-haired Bob and Alt Juice.
Yeah. £7 a month lot. Now I'm all over that.
We'll come to the best bets round then tomorrow. Don't know where some of you are going tomorrow, whether it's going to be Ascot or elsewhere. If there is going to be elsewhere, because it looks like Ascot, Wolverhampton, and possibly Newton Abbott at this stage. Catterick looks in serious doubt, I think, with the rain we're getting up here. But this is best bets round. 1, 2, 3 points. So we're going to start on 1 point. I'll kick us off with a fairly boring one. We all like boring bets. 4.25, the Balmoral. I just thought this was fair enough, really. Sonny Liston, Brian Moore and Rafe Ralph. I think if Ryan rode... We actually put out on the edge Liberty Lane, probably our last winner, Doncaster. I think if Ryan could ride the race again, he wouldn't have hit the front like a furlong out. I think that was the problem there. He's up £4, but he's clearly in terrific order, and I think that's strong form because Liberty Lane didn't run well in the Cambridgeshire primarily because of the fast ground. So there's no worries about the form. We know the form's good. We know the form's concrete. La Trinidad's a good yardstick, and that was well stuffed in third. So Sonny Liston, I think, with the draw, Nick will probably come on to that later about what he thinks about the draw on the straight course. But I think the feeling is you want to be low because 8 of the last 9 winners have been drawn 10 or less. So that's maybe something to consider when punting in the Balmoral. So 1 point win for me, Sonny Liston, 7-1 with Bet365, Coral and Spoil Sports. Right, chaps. Jack, I'm going to come to you. You're busted.
I am indeed, Lee. Yeah, so I've picked 3 selections that, as it stands, are all running. Fully expect a couple of them to come out. So if anyone wants to message me for my Scottish football 14-fold Canadian tomorrow as a backup, they're more than welcome. But we'll give... Yeah, exactly. We'll give it a good go, though. So the 301 Leopardstown, the Group 3 for the 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. And with the Baby Joseph's Atlantic Coast here, thought this one made a very promising start to life in a pretty routine 7 furlong maiden win at the Curragh. Form hasn't worked out overly well, but I think he won that with a minimum of effort, really, and stepped that up nicely with a good good third in the Group 2 on Irish Champions Weekend behind Diego Velasquez and Capulet. I know Capulet didn't run his best race last time out, but they're probably two of his many 2-year-olds, but towards the top echelons of that. And I had the prices the wrong way around, really, with Military here. I thought, Sayuni, top of the ground horse, Military, ran okay when 4th last time out in the Tatzel Stakes at Newmarket. But I thought conditions here would favour Atlantic Coast. I'm not enamoured by the drop back to 7 furlongs, but I think he'll be perfectly fine with a prominent ride and expect them to do that tomorrow and hope they do. But yeah, I thought I'd kick us off there with a 1 point win on Atlantic Coast.
1508 Paddy, Betfair and BetVictor. Good luck, Jack, with that selection. Nick Davis?
Right then, I'm going for a non-handicap for a change. I'm at Ascot today. I'm going in the QE2. Now, there's several lines of form here. I mean, Paddington's beaten Factor Cheval by a length and a half on this kind of going, so we're saying that's roundabout. Not sure about Tahira on the going. She got axed on it, but she was beaten on it. One defeat this season. Nashwire's been on the go a lot. But I think if you fancy the French ones, there's gonna be a gallop here. The value loser at 4 times the price of the French one is Check and Challenge. He's twice finished in front of Factor Cheval, about the same length, and on that line, Big Rock isn't much between them, and yet those are 7s and 14s, and our lad is 50s. Mr. Buick back on. He ran a fine race in this last year when he was behind Bayside Boy. I think there could be a bit of a go up front. Big Rock goes forward. Chaldine goes forward. High Royal goes forward. Epictus can go forward. Paddington can go forward. I don't know if this lad could pick up some change or even spring a shock at 50s. So half a point each way, Check and Challenge.
Shrewd, half a point each way for Nick at a bullseye, and that's pretty much general. Not struggling for 50s if you've got the accounts. Worth a few shekels. Good stuff, Nick. Love a big price. And you are, of course, the current Naps table leader with what looks like an unassailable lead after your fantastic forecast last weekend in the Sazanovic. Jonas.
155 Leopardstown, Guildenstern. I tipped this up last time in the big sales race. It was too free early on. He was on the wrong part of the track. It was all a bit much for him. Back in Maiden Company, this should suit much better. The ground isn't a worry. The damster on a soft ground winner by Exceed and Excel, so run mirroring the promise of the debut will take him close here. 1 point win.
4-1 generally available. John, that was an interesting run last time because, I mean, you'll be fully aware that the ground it actually made up, like sort of mid-race, it made a lot of ground up.
Yeah.
It's better than the last run, I agree. So, and you obviously liked it a lot on debut. So, well, yeah, 4-1 general for Johnny. He likes that. He's confident. On Guildenstern, that finishes round 1. Okay, John, you've got the mic. Set us off with 2 points.
8:30 Woolly Bags tomorrow night. Regular readers of my column will be aware that I've kept an eye on Hayworth Star since he made debut over 5 furlongs. I think it was at Ripon. No, sorry, debut was over 7. Ran real well, strong through the line, etc. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then Scaffolder drops it down to 6 furlongs, second time up. So I thought, I'll have to watch this, I can't back it. And it ran accordingly. And then, amazingly, he drops it down to 5 furlongs for the third run. And by then, even the 6 8 knew what was going on. It was ridden accordingly. Then for handicap debut, the ground went against him, and he was drawn on the wrong part of the track. He was drawn on the stand rails at Leicester, and he simply wasn't off. I mean, I think he was about 6-1 when the betting opened. I think he went off about 50s on the machine. Never a factor. They've kindly dropped him £4 for that non-effort. He's got a good enough draw here. This will do some damage tonight, I'm sure of it. 2 points win.
Interesting. 20s generally available. It is 25s with Port Vale, but that's the only for 20s general for John. Interesting choice, really. Do you find the booking of Jack Garrity odd in any way? I mean, Jack Garrity these days doesn't.
He uses him, doesn't he? I mean,
oh yeah, he does. But I just he doesn't get that many. Yeah, he does use him. Yeah.
He's what's there, isn't he?
But yeah, no, he's certainly interested in switching to all-weather here with Star at big prices.
It's just whatever comes to hand, isn't it? You know, jockey-wise these days.
Yeah, it is.
There's a sponge on the bedside table. You just use that to wipe the flange down before you go in. Same principle.
What a mental image. Geez. Right. Are you thinking lettuce here, Nick Davis?
I'm going to the 150, the Champion Sprint Stakes. I'm fully aware that Kinross is solid, but he's not unbeatable. The value's gone on Vadream. That has been the plunge horse. I'm going to go with the shirt with Sense of Juicy. I like the comeback run on heavy ground at Newbury. It was looked after. This has obviously been the aim. I just think it's got so much upside, and a lot of these are what they are. We know what they are. We know they're running. I mean, Spycatcher. Maybe the season's caught up with him. Rohan can be fancied, but he's been beaten in this before. Art Power will lead for about 4 furlongs, then fade away. So we know Sandrine will be up there. We know what will go on, but the Sense of Duty's got upside. 1 point each way.
1 point each way with 365 Paddy Power, Hills, and Betfair. 4 places for Nick for Sense of Duty with an eye-catching reappearance.
What price do I get? 14?
14, yeah.
So for me, Lee, I'm going to be taking on Nick in the 305, the QE2. I actually really like his case, and that runner check and challenge was one that, I favoured when I was looking at the race, and I can certainly see him running a big race. But for the points Nick made around the pace, as he said, there's a lot on here. Paddington, Big Rock, Chowdene. They're all likely to go forward, and I think that's going to set up nicely for Tahira should she run. For full disclosure, I would have made this my 3-point nap, but I'm wary that Dermot Weld has been somewhat lukewarm about the ground, to be honest with you. So I didn't want to tip up a nap that was a non-runner. But I'm less worried than he is, to be honest with you. I mean, look at her probably 2 best career efforts. The second in the Guineas behind Morge, where she went down by the narrowest of margins. What Morge has done, I mean, I don't know if I'm doing any libel laws here, but she was most likely juiced for that performance, and to her credit, has come out and won a Grade 1 last weekend in the States. So that's not a bad defeat by any stretch. And then her pretty imperious win on soft ground in the Moyglare last year. So I'm confident she'll run a big race on the ground. I'm not concerned. I think the race will set up nicely for her. She's been priced to me as if she's a dead cert non-runner. I mean, you looked at the anti-post betting for this. I'm pretty sure Paddington was around 13-8. Tahira was about the 9-4 mark, and I'd make that the right prices. So at the general kind of 7-2, more than happy to row on with her. And I think she's still got more in there. I thought that Matron Stakes win last time out was done with minimal fuss, and I think she'll run a big race here. So 2 points win Tahira for me.
2 points win Tahira for Jack, and I believe that is 7-2 generally available. The 4-1 that he drifted to today is gone, but 7-2 about Irish Guineas winner and Coronation Stakes winner Tahira. A really brilliant 3-year-old filly. Thank you, Jack. I'm going to be controversial and go for the villain of the piece in the 305 at the QE2. I just think Nashwa is probably the one that I think people are just missing here in terms of, I think for her life, she's been campaigned at wrong trips. Now, that'll seem crazy to some people to say that she's won Group 1 races at 1.25 miles, and, the Prix de Diane, the Nassau, etc., etc. But a most explosive win, which I know some of you doubt because it's a Kip and it's a July course, was when she thumped Remarquee in the Falmouth. Before that, the only other time she ran over a mile, she beat Wonderful Times by 6.5 wickets. Wonderful Times currently is racing in France and running to about 100. So the point is that I feel that Nashwa has always been a miler, but they've literally, I think they tried to shape her into an Oaks filly, really. And I think in this ground, like you said, like Nick's already highlighted the pace, she's got a real potent turn of foot. And I think Nashwa is still underplayed at around 4-1. And that's where my 2 points is going. 2 points win Nashwa at 4-1 against Tahira. And obviously Nick's obviously picked a big price value bet there for sure at 50s in check and challenge. But yeah, 4-1 is where I'm going. Right, the best bets round now. This is the most exciting round because this is supposedly where we excel and make plenty. Right, who shall I come to first? Davis, I'm coming to you.
Well, you won't be surprised going to the Balmoral Handicap.
Yes.
A quick rundown. Docklands. 3-year-olds haven't really shone, apart from Liberty Lane in mile handicaps this year. I think it probably needs more. I don't think there's massive load of pace here. Alwa would have been the bet, but he stuck out in 22. He's going to find it hard to get cover from there. He is a bit of a fizzy sort who can pull. Baradar, I think I read a thing that it could be a long last furlong. I think he's been a better horse ridden forward. Sonny Liston, yeah, I can see the case, but it's up £4, and I don't know if that might stop him in the end. I can see Migration winning even off his mark, but I'm going to go and Latam with the pieces can go well, but I'm going to go with Radarbarg for Rossa Ryan. This is its first time in a handicap for an awful long time. And when it was over in Ireland, it won a 26 runner handicap on yielding going. And it might be better getting a lead. I think the gate pick was virtually certain to lead from the low draw. And I think Radarberg getting a lead will go close with five or six places. And what I'm going to do, 1.25 points each way, Radarbarg, and a quarter reverse with Migration.
As Nick loves the forecast. So Radarbarg is 16-1. That's available on my screen anyway. So you're going 1 1/4 each way that and a 0.25 reverse.
Reverse forecast with
Radarbarg,
Migration.
yeah, Migration. The Lincoln winner in the soup for Sergeant Wilson and the Colombian kid on board. Which, of course, Migration, when I did the Trap 10 stat, 8 of the last 9 winners, Migration, of course, is in Trap 10 because one of the reserves, obviously, that doesn't run was due to run in stall 1. You're in the stat zone as well. So good stuff, Nick. Right, Jack.
Right, Lee. Well, the race everyone's waiting for tomorrow, the 7:30 at Wolverhampton. And I'm very strong on the favourite here, Targi, the Owen Burrows trained Churchill colt. It's his first appearance since last July, when winning a maiden that worked out really well. Take your mind back to Newbury on the 15th of July when beating Dancing Magic, who goes in the Balmoral tomorrow, rating a 98. Bresson, who won last week or a couple of weeks ago at Epsom, rated 95. Classic, who's been there or thereabouts this year, won a couple of nice handicaps, rated 94. So look, this is really solid form. Obviously had setbacks and issues, otherwise he wouldn't have been out for this long. But I think if there is a trainer you want to be with off a layoff, Owen Burrows is certainly one of them. Looking at his stats, he's only ever had 2 runners that have had a year plus off the track. He's 1 for 2. So a 50% strike rate. But if you want more stats with meat on the bone, 150 days plus off the track, he's 20 for 110, 18% strike rate with a winner over expected of 1.04. So I've no issues with this one being ready to win. And really, it's just an extremely poor quality race. You look at the second in the market, Leading Lion, that finished second at Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, and that looked a very poor race. Was an absolute crawl. The time was really poor. And looking below that, Ella Donna of Bones equally has not shown much. And despite the penalty, I think this horse will be ready to go. And fully expect. I mean, it's already been punted quite heavily since the first show markets, as they always are. But I think that the general 11-8 is very fair. I'd have this myself, probably more 10-11. So yeah, very happy. Bit of a shorty, but hopefully after probably what's going to be a tricky day's punting tomorrow, something to smile about in the 7:30 at Wolves.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, 7:30, 11-8. We might need a smash out by then. After
Get out of jail stakes in the
this might be
7:30
one
at
of them.
Wolves.
It's like
Yeah.
we can't buy the Turby Carvery on Sunday if we, like unless Targi fucking does the bit. An old golf club, he's gone quiet. We've gassed him. Right, so 11:08 Targi. He'll not be having crispy beef tomorrow night by the looks of it. 11:08 Targi for Jack. 3.9.
Oh, that's a cremate him.
Yep. Oh dear. Right, poor golf club. Get in touch, golf club. Where are you? You've gone quiet. Right. Who shall I call it? It's me and John left, isn't it? So I will go before John and leave the drum roll till last.
Yes.
Klaxon here because 150. It's all about the shirt or sense of duty. 14-1 with Bet365, Paddy's, and Betfair. Nothing not to like, really. A nice comeback. the thing was that I think people have underestimated the comeback. It was slowly run, 105%, like for a Newbury Sprint. It was like it crawled, and it just wouldn't have suited this, especially after such a long break and being a bit tubby. I think people are underestimating the actual comeback. It was probably more promised than what it first looked like. And this horse, if you go on that chip chase win, fucking hell. I mean, it's beaten a naff 4.5. You know, I mean, that were a serious effort. This is a quality mare. Nothing not to like at the price. And the other thing is, right, the shirt is incredible with horses off the bounce, right? So this is a stat here that if he runs an horse back within 28 days, he's 31%, after an absence of 300 days or more prior. So that tells you that's a master handler, that's a master trainer, because he's basically looked after that horse to make sure they don't fucking bounce. So that's what you're getting. You're getting absolutely skillful handling, and you can see this horse running huge tomorrow. So it's 2 points win that at 14s for me. And I know Nick says, the price has gone on the dream. And I agree to an extent, but I can't not back it at 13-2 still. I think there's still a little bit in that. There's a lot of money for Rohan. Rohan, I'm sorry, but that race last time is nowhere near this, and there's no way he's in the form he was last season. So forget that. Vadream for me at 13-2 is the 1 pointer. I don't want to lose on the race on that. I think Kinross, like Nick said in his piece, is the right. It's about price. Well, it's probably too short in anything, but it is beatable. It's not like clear of these, especially dropping back to 6. I do think he's better at 7, and I just think that's it. I think we can potentially get Kinross beat here. So hopefully that'll do it. So we've got the asthmatic horse Claxon. John.
Well, there's no collection for this. 225 Ascot. This is the worst fillies and mares race I can remember. Bar none. I think this is hauling this race below the waterline, to be honest. You had another 2 of these that you get done away with, I think. Anyway, I digress. Aiden's Jackie O, at time to time, has looked a bit of a cunt.
It has.
This year. And I don't think she wants much further than 10. Time Lock fell apart like Freywind did on the slop at Bradwood.
Yep.
Blue Stocking handles soft, but personally, I think 12's right at the limit of her stamina, which leaves me with a very interesting overpriced horse that doesn't fit an obvious profile, but it fits a trainer profile, and that's Red Riding Hood of Aiden's. I think she's massively overpriced here. She wasn't progressing this season, and he was sending her up in trip, so they're obviously, she's working all right, and then they're getting reports like she wants further, and then they stuck a tongue tie on. Well, it's been an absolute revelation. Now, I take into account they've dropped us to trips of like 9 and 10 since they put the tongue tie on. But I think these trips the way she's run over these trips, while she's also returned to something like her best form. Think on, she was only half a length behind Jackie off levels on heavy ground on debut this year. But as she's returned to form this year, she's still giving the impression she wants further than the 10. So I think with the tongue tie added, I don't have her much further back than Jackie O on ability-wise. And I think she's got a lot more going for her stamina-wise than Jackie O has. I will take the 80-1, 1.5 points each way, please.
No, 66s.
Jesus, wet.
2 rule books have come out. Yep, 66s, John. 4 places, generally available. Right. Right. Well, Red Riding Hood there, tipped up by the big bad wolf himself. Yeah, there you go, 66s, as John sat there dressed as Granny.
That's every week, right? Doesn't have to be Red Riding.
I think I tell you what though, hats off to you. I mean, I love this. We've had a 50-1 tip, a bullseye tip from Nick. We've had a 66-1 belter from John. as his best. Thinks it's incredible value, and we've got a Klaxon bet that's 14 to 1. What more do you want? This you can't call us obvious. I mean, I got lambasted last week for tipping City of Troy.
Drayton came round, didn't he?
He did. Well, this is my point, right? Right. Look, listen. If it's value, it's value, and that
It won though, Lee.
Nick always says. And to be fair, Nick is a very experienced punter. Of course you are, Nick. But Nick says if you've got the 3, you don't need the 1, etc. etc. But I don't think like that. If it's value, it don't really matter to me. If I think it should be shorter, then it's...
That should have been fars on last week.
Well, that's what we said on show, but no one listened. You know, everyone's like saying, "Oh, but you know, this is it."
Yeah, but Lee, Nick Leeson said the one to 350 was value.
This is the thing. This is the thing. When sometimes you can see an absolute, pinch, and you can get burnt. It's what happens. But look, that's the thing, though. Most punters that follow the sport, if you go on Twitter, for example, and tip City of Troy, and you say have the fucking lot on, and it gets beat, you know your timeline's going to be full of mug, idiot, fucking moron, So that's what happens because it's a short price. When in reality, all you're trying to explain to someone is that it's an 8 to 13 shot, 62% chance of winning. That's the odds you're getting, and it should be probably nearer 75%. So you're 13% better off yield long term. That's how boring betting is, really. I don't sell it, do I? It's not sexy that way, is it? It's not like a Patrick Veach gamble from 9s into 11 to 8 that got beat last night. Got no dollars for Stuart Williams. They obviously got the fingers burnt there, but that's it. Some people just love info. Our Lord Malver, he loves a bit of info. Doesn't like form bets and boring bets, but
He'll be getting a bit on Sunday night as well, won't he, with all this gossip we've got?
he will, yeah. It should be a good show Sunday. Don't forget to tune into the sermon on Sunday. It will be a good one. Ranty and a bit of gossip going around, so don't miss that. Right, on to
absolute filth.
Yes, on to the TV stuff. Just the 6, and it's just Ascot this week, nowhere else. And the first one, and it's a stayers race. It's one no one's touched on yet in the best bets round. Kyprios and Trushan. Now I'm going old Johnny Deneen here, and I'm saying if you can get 4 to 11 the pair, Kyprios and Trushan, that's value. Nick will say I've got the 11. I don't need the 4. But what we're saying on this, folks.
What if you only got 10?
well, you have to, yeah, you folks.
You need the 4 then, don't you?
If you've got the 10, you probably get 3.5, John. Prios obviously shaped very well, I felt, at the Curragh. If he comes back to his very best, he probably wins. That's the thing we don't know. Is he going to run to his best? We don't know. Trushan, John, me and you both agreed that he was suited by making the running last time, but probably beat nothing with Emily Dickinson running to about 4.
That was a point-to-point he won in France, wasn't it?
But the thing is, it either dispelled the myth that the ground was no issue, which it wasn't. So all the years like him saying, "Oh, I'm not running it on good to firm." Well, it was good to firm.
So he wasted the odds, hadn't he?
Yeah. Time form rated it good to firm ground as well. So it's like it's backed up by data, not by official going descriptions, which are shit as we know. So Trushan for me, John, you said it had settled better in front.
Yeah, I thought so. She couldn't hold this at Doncaster, and I think she was getting to the point where I was going to make her hands bleed, and that's why she let him go.
That was last month's ride of the month. If you didn't see it,
don't get me fucking started.
Jesus Christ,
Johnny! I mean, you got like the Grand Rizzo was right on the rails. Towsers horse might be a twicer. It's only had 2 scraps in its life and lost them both. I'm not having Trushan. I don't think his form stacks up since the new improved Trushan came back. I'd be all over Kyprios, really, if I just had to pick the winner. But I don't think he's value either. I think if you're gagging for a bet, you just bet Coltrane each way and hope in absurd.
Would you really? I mean, well, yeah, I'm not saying that's not an angle, but this is an horse that obviously is a very, very good stayer, consistent stayer. But we said last time we thought that was enough for season, John.
Sometimes they come back to themselves, don't they? And he's not a bug balding, you know. I mean, if it was, I'm not even going to name names. We've got enough controversy going on this way. If it was someone else who isn't as good, shall we say, they might just run it for the sake. He must have done some reasonable work since Johnny.
Isn't Coltrane and Ascot also? You look at 1, 2, 1, 2. All his best runs are here. Virtually.
Does run well here, but don't forget it's not here, is it? It's the inner fucking track.
Yeah, but it's going around the same way.
He likes the Berkshire air. Is that what you're saying?
They can bring him ready for the Ladbroke, couldn't they?
The right-handed Chester tomorrow. I mean, the only thing I would say is that isn't Coltrane a better ground horse? He doesn't like too much dig. I think
Maybe.
But it might not be too much.
Exactly.
Dig,
I mean, this is the thing we need to sort of like work out or try and warn punters, because before you start ploughing in there thinking, well, this meeting with doubts about going ahead, and it seems to be planted in.
Well, some of the poor bastards have gone in on basis that it's going to be back down, haven't they?
Yeah.
Because it is every year.
Yeah, so it's been planted in punters' minds that this meeting's going to be absolutely terribly testing, which of course on the straight course it's going to be soft ground, definitely. So, but then on the inner course, I mean, how is everyone going to react if the first race, say for example, this one is run 2 seconds outside standard? You know, I mean, everyone's there going, right, so we don't want soft ground horses. It's a bit like France.
Racing Post haven't really chased any stories on this, because you would imagine there'd be some big players sat there with anti-post vouchers for this that aren't terribly chuffed that this is going on in a course.
Pretty much.
But it's been silent, hasn't it?
From my perspective, look, you don't even have an opportunity to see how it's riding with this being the first race. I wouldn't have it, like Lee, I wouldn't have it anywhere other than Trushan and Kyprios. I think you can get stuck into the rest of the card and walk the dog during this, to be honest. I don't think there's a bet.
I agree. I'm just trying to think of an angle. You know, it's like, would I back the rest? No, the rest are, I don't. But then, like what Nick said, Ascot Coltrane, if it is good, maybe that's a dangerous play at 3s or 4 to 11.
Yeah, so, walk the dog.
Yeah, we've decided. Let's fucking move on that shit. The 150, Kinross. We've pretty much covered this race quite heavily. Well, we'll go through some of the runners if you like. Obviously, the Claxon Centre Duke we've discussed. Kinross, I don't think, is as effective at 6. Would you agree with that?
I would, to be honest. And I think, last time out in France, he was beaten on merit for me. I thought the winner, I know there was that nonsense around the stewards and whatnot, but he's a beatable horse and he's the right favourite. But yeah, I'd be absolutely with you on the shirts. I've got an anti-post voucher myself after you put it up a couple of shows ago, Lee. The ground doesn't worry me. I thought that run was hugely encouraging. As you've highlighted, the shirt's record second time after a break is very good, and I think that's the obvious bet in here. Really, I think Rohan, as you said, look, it's handicap company. He's not the same horse he was last year. People will be playing into the soft ground angle, his Ascot form, etc. Fair enough. And Vad Dream for me is probably about the right price, and I could see her drifting tomorrow because she's been absolutely bet all week. I could see that going off double figures on the machine and have a saver. You might as well.
Yeah, I probably should have gone Betfair SP on the bet. Anyway, it's done now. John, I'd like to get your take on this race.
I wouldn't really disagree from what you've said about it, Lee. I too like the shirt horse. The only other one I would maybe add in is Art Power, who will go on the ground, stays further than this. And if he's ridden right, I think it's good that Thick Dave's back on after the O'Sheen experiment that went wrong and cost him his unbeaten Curra record. I'm glad to see Dave back in the plate. I think he could go well at a price. Overall, I think the shirt providing the value, really.
Do you think could be worth Tim Easterby's worthwhile to send an helicopter over to Curra, pocket a big load of air from the Curra, like bag it up, and insert it into Art Power's nostrils and make it think it's at the Curragh.
It might not be a bad idea.
You know, at the Curragh, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, it's just like if they just ran it there all season, it's just a cash machine.
Bloody horse was unraceable till a Shane got on it.
Yeah, but then that passes Nick Davis's. It's Nick Davis's famous sprint system, isn't it, Nick? Yeah.
The theorem, yeah. Yeah, he's right. It's like one of those where you play Sunday League football and you're 8-0 up at half time and you go in and you say it's 0-0 lads, it's 0-0. So you keep getting into Art Power and say it's the Curragh, mate, it's the Curragh.
You just say it's the Curragh. You'd show him pictures.
Yeah,
If I
it'll
was
be fine.
Stablelands, I'd be showing him pictures at Curragh.
Yeah.
In fact, you'd even
Yeah,
put
get
like
some replays.
technology these days. You'd have like a TV in front of him all day, like picture at Curragh.
Yeah.
And just put it in front of him. And
Well,
just...
wouldn't they be telly then, would you? If you get the lad to do a painting by numbers or something, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, no Easterby's, they'll do that.
We could do one for him, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Oh, mate, but he'd want a leg of gammon, John.
Oh, I want to be allowed to keep the paint as well.
Right, the 225 I found the hardest race of the Ascot meeting. I really did. I looked at
Go
it.
back out with a dog.
Yeah, it's another dog race, and John's managed to salvage the race by his fantastic massive.
Fuck the dog walking, get on your knees and appreciate the master at work.
Red Riding Hood for John, yeah. Obviously going through it, free wind. Again, you just want to see times at ground, because if it ends up like good or whatever, and because you don't put it past these idiots, this is what they do. They just fleece every cunt. Yeah, it's tested. Good to soft in places, and there's no soft in places. It might end up quicker than standard. This is the thing. So then you've got to keep your eyes and ears open tomorrow. So maybe some shrewd late playing tomorrow and adapt accordingly. Because of course, free wind at 7-2, if it's good ground, is an absolute steal. The second in the Yorkshire Oaks is above and away everything else. There's nothing else that can match that form level. You're not going to get that. If it was good ground and you knew it was good ground, free wind would be priced at 13-8 for this race tomorrow. That's a fact.
Do you think the quick ground arc might have left a mark on her, Lee? I'm not a big fan of backing arc runners in this meeting. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but it's not a great record. You're right in saying that she's the right favourite, and on better ground she'd be fine. But would that worry you?
It would slightly, because you're dealing with fillies and mares, and as Nick Davis says, no. No.
Treat it as a 2-year-old race.
Yeah, so there is that, but I mean, Jackie O.
Be nauseating as well, won't it? I'll pull up the drawbridge having a winner with Frankie on.
Well, this is it. An ITV wankfest in that race.
Oh.
Regarding Jackie O, if listeners that haven't tuned in and stuff, the mother, I've probably been a bit harsh on the mother. The mother she's been a spectacular broodmare, really. She's dead now, but she's provided line of duty, secret state, Onassis. There's some really decent animals that do win, but herself, she was very ungenuine, and I know that sounds harsh, dead eating her guineas, but she tried to throw away the guinea. That's what you're dealing with, and I think there's similar traits in this filly. I've seen it. I've seen the traits of the mother, and I'd be very worried at punting Jackie O in running if she's going well. Don't take short prices in running is my advice. If you're going to back a pre-play and put some maybe short lays in on that one.
I don't think the ground's ideal, Lee, or of course we don't know, but I thought Towsers' second string in here, Sweet Memories, was interesting. She certainly wouldn't want it heavy, so if it came up, that avoid. But headgear angle with him is always a positive. Draw is not ideal out in 12, but I thought that looked a progressive filly, and this race ain't going to take much winning, and I thought she,
Ollie Doyle and headgear.
Yeah, very true. But I thought she'd be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if she ran well.
Right, 305. It's the QE2, and Paddington heads the market. Very weak in the market as well. Very, very weak. Is this the fact due to the ground? I mean, don't forget, I would say Paddington's has won on soft and heavy, but has been beating trees really. And when he beat Factor Cheval in the Sussex, he was pretty unimpressive really. And it wasn't a great race. I mean, is he going to be at his best on soft ground?
I don't think he is at his best on soft ground. Goodwood, you could definitely argue he wasn't at his best on that. I think probably his best run was York, really. Because I think he ran into one at York.
Yeah, the old mustard off.
Yeah. That was coming there off the back of a demolition job in the Prince of Wales, wasn't it?
Well, what I don't get, John, right? So why was Paddington putting at 7-4 and Nashua at 9-2, 4-1-ish? When Nashua finishing in front of Paddington at York, don't see the angle.
I think they're going back to a mile thing for Paddington.
Yeah.
It's going to suit Paddington better than her.
And Nashua's better off at the weights because obviously the 3-year-old allowance gets lesser.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a fan of Paddington. I can see Jack's angle with Tahir. I love Tahir as a filly. I do. I just feel that Nashua could be this mistake.
I did hear the bloke in the bear suits not even bothering turning up.
I did think the 30 factor right here with Nashua. Is 30 being placed in this because to me it's obvious. I think Nashua
didn't have a fucking hurdles if he had.
He famously placed Courage Mon Ami in the Gold Cup, didn't he? So maybe there's a sharp mind behind young Slim. Who knows?
I mean, Princess Lulu, the mother of Nashua, she loved it absolutely like soup. She was trained by Roger Variables. Roger Vegetable. Yeah, I mean, she loved the slop. And I've always said Nashua, a mile in slop is the actual perfect conditions. Pivotal mare. Pivotal. For fuck's sake. It's there in front of you. It's just the dialer on. But 4-1, I think it's very fair. Nick, are you playing in this race apart from Check and Challenge? Is there any of the views you've got on any of the others?
No, I'd like to get Paddington. It'd be interesting to see the market near the off. I mean, if you don't think Checker Challenge, you can't fancy the French ones, Big Rock and Factor Cheval, can you really?
No.
Those prices. I mean, what do you do about Caldine? But obviously he's going to be taken on. I think. I mean, he's back to a mile. I mean, if you look at between him and Paddington, you'd have to say he'd be closer to Paddington on softer ground, wouldn't you? At his best.
Yeah.
Given this thing, but it's a hard race. I really wanted to play it was just because Second Challenger was way overpriced. I don't expect to be collecting, but it's just that one of those bets you chuck away because you have to have bets that you know will lose in order to win. If that sounds crazy,
John.
Yes.
Monsieur, no. Have you had a view here?
I bet Nashua.
Well, I forgot to mention that on Bet Round. I honestly felt Nashua at 4-1 is possibly one of the best each way bets that you'll see.
I thought so, yeah.
Like there is not going to be 3 beating her in that race. There just isn't. She's had 6 weeks off, and I just think she's got the form level is too good. She's consistent enough. She sometimes just runs a slightly flat, but not flat enough to not be out the 3 year. So I think if you're playing each way a pleasure, Nashua is a very strong call. So anything else? Anybody else want to add anything on this?
Nope, as Nick says, and the 2-year-olds.
Nick's notes, fantastic. 345 is the Qipco Champion Stakes, and this is disgraceful. If Mosterdaf wins this tomorrow, it needs booing in to a loud chorus of boo.
Top C's.
Absolutely disgraceful. We've not seen anything like this since Jack Ramsden. Towser going down there, walking the track, Jack, and he's probably in the ear hole of the Clarks. Well, you can't run on this muck on outside. It's terrible. And they've got it on the inner track, the one where they have the hospitality tents quaffing champagne at the Royal Meeting, Jack. What are we saying?
Yeah, no, look, I'm really hoping to get him beat. Look, I'd have nothing against the horse, but for me, it'd just be a poor result. He's basically got this horse to run. Essentially, that was the whole MO of getting this on the inner track. So I'm keen to get it beat. I think there's a real lack of pace on here. I'm not seeing a lot, and for that reason, it's a pretty out there selection. But if one was interesting, maybe as a back to lay proposition or as an each way bet, it might be Point Lonsdale. And I know that might sound crazy based on some of his recent form, but I think
What's the
yeah,
song?
well, I think 10 furlongs is his trip. I think he's failed to stay
Yeah.
the 12 in the King George and the Coronation Cup, but you know what they're going to do. And if you want one person to spoil the party on board, it's Ryan, isn't it? He'll do his very best to try and mess around with some of these horses at the top of the market. And I think it's an uncomplicated ride from his perspective, with a load of people probably playing jockeys in behind. So he'd be the one for me, probably in the place markets or as an each way bet.
Very,
I
very.
like the way you're saying Ryan spoiling the party as well, because I mean, he took the joy out
He
of it.
would. And
Awesome.
and just imagine it. Whilst everyone's done their ticket on Mostadaf, and he's ruined the trainers' championship, and Nick and Lydia, whoever it is, will say, "Oh, Ryan, great win." They'll just be like, "Yeah, cheers, see you later."
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean, there'd be rumours that like Ryan Moore could play the Grinch in a remake. You know what I mean? He'd be brilliant at that, wouldn't
Then we'd have to cheer up.
But yeah, Jake, that's a very good point, actually. Point Lonsdale, most likely pace setter, unless Indian Jim might be up there though. Bossedaf with the old front running ride last
I
time.
think that was a one-off bit of enterprise, and I think he'll revert to type, which is sitting out the back and giving everyone else a heart attack. So fuck him.
Yeah, he's thick. He's thick. Thick Jim. Thick Jim, Indian Jim. Absolutely. Nick, any of you here?
I think Mustard wins if he runs him.
Yeah.
I know it's an unpopular thing, but I think if he considers, I mean, he has won a race on soft as well, hasn't he? I think if it's good to soft, on that thing, he wins.
What price does he go off if it's riding good to soft?
He goes off at about 9 to 4.
Yeah, it's a 2-1 mark probably.
There you go, you traders and arbors, 100 to 30 currently overnight. You can have some bunts there, because I think that's quite likely, to be honest. That's the gamble. John, what's your take on this one?
That Bay Bridge ages ago, I wasn't pleased he went to France, to be honest. I think he could have done without that. If he hadn't gone to France, I'd have been pretty confident of him winning this. Now I'm not. I think the Sistine would have a chance if they get the thunderstorm.
Yeah.
I just don't want Mostadaf to win.
No, and this is the thing, right? So Via Sistina, if this had been on the outer track, would have been, for me, a fantastic each way bet. Absolutely brilliant each way bet at 9 to 1 plus. But because now we don't know what we're going to get, it's a tighter track as well. And we don't know what the ground's. And we're sort of thinking if they don't get any rain, it's going to be good to soft in places. That's my sort of take on it. So that makes that bet completely null and void. But the BHA don't fucking care like anybody else do it. Like Towser walks the track and advises eloquently the clerk of the course, and advises eloquently the panel on the champions committee, and tells them what they should be doing. I think that's what's gone off there. But more on that on Sunday. 4:25 Balmoral then, right, to finish. So obviously Sonny Liston for me. Davis has been in Forecast King with Migration, and he's bet on Rado Bar for Ammo and Ross Orion. Any other views here to finish the show, chaps?
I'd probably throw Latam in, just given that the bulk of his form is on, a softer than sound surface. And I know he's been somewhat disappointing in the last couple of runs where he's been, probably had every chance. But I think there's probably still scope off 95, and he's drawn pretty well. Pieces first time. I think he could run a pretty big race, but completely agree with, the selections across the three of you as well.
It's funny because I've just seen price on Latam, and it's 20s, and I'm quite surprised at that because I don't think York was its track. He was on the inside, right on the rail. How many win on the rail at York? I ain't seen one since Roberto. Like Latam, Nick's been liking this. Or this will piss Nick off if this wins, because right, Nick, you've been liking this all year, Latam.
Well, I just said that he's been running him at Goodwood, and he's a massive, great big bastard of an horse.
Yeah.
And the paces have got to work, and B, I'm not sure he's going to get a breakneck pace here. I don't think. I think the gatekeeper makes it. He tries to slow it down like he did at Goodwood for the Golden Mile on soft. He tries to do that, and then I think he tries to slow it down, but then he'll be tackled by Raderberg and the rest of them. That's why I don't like Docklands. I don't think it's masses and masses of pace. Alwell would have been my bet, but he's drawn out of it, I think.
You said that, yeah, in our group chat. You said Awal would be the choice, but sadly still 22. But then again, Nick, you never know. I mean, the last time in 2019 when they run on the round on the inner cut,
Not on the. This is on the straight course.
I'm trying to. I know it's a different thing, but it was that year when I think the only winner higher than 10 would. It was like.
I mean, less.
I think Awal needs cover though. I think he needs cover. He's a fizzy type and he pulls.
Yeah.
And he's drawn right out wide. You're gonna have to take him really, really back.
Yeah.
Or try to get across with a fizzy horse.
Baradar, you could give him a fifth leg and he's not going to get home over a mile on this, is he?
No.
Especially if they're riding from the back again, hoping to get it. But he's been a far better horse. We stuck the headgear on and riding from near the front. Far better.
So what? I've not asked anybody else's opinion. Sonny Liston, are we thinking he's too high in the weights, or?
Well, to be honestly, I thought Liberty Lane probably would have won this race if he turned up, given the conditions are going to suit. So on that basis, he has to be a big player.
I'm wondering, Jack, if we could probably play place only markets on this one. It's one of them that he's so consistent and he's in really good form, and you've got the right pilot on. That this could be like a place only max kind of thing on the exchange. Cover the pegs. Jonas,
I think Migration has as good a chance as anything. I was very impressed in the Lincoln. I don't think £6 would have stopped him winning that. He's only gone up £6.
He's 9 because Benoit's not claiming a 3, so he's £9 up.
I'll keep it simple.
They'd have had this in mind clearly, given how he's been campaigned. You'd think.
Sergeant Wilson.
Yeah, 10-1, so we said bet.
Sergeant Wilson. Right, that's a great show, chaps. Thank you very much for this. We're back on Sunday, me, John and Chris talking absolute tosh. Don't forget to subscribe to Patreon if you want extra things for your betting. We do all sorts on there. We'll do a turn if you ask us to for £7 a month. Whatever. But make sure you subscribe and support the bar.
Turn the tricks for £13 a month.
Indeed. That's all from us. Bye for now.